said what?
With April
And Natiee.
Thank you for joining in.
Yeah, now let's just relax and chat about a lot.
Yes. So how's it going?
Busy. Planning my son's first birthday party has been on one.
Yeah. I mean, typically first birthdays are for the parents.
Yeah, and I can see that. It's like I'm such like a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to get everything together, and it's coming together really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's just stress that's on my mind.
And most people will not actually like understand.
No.
But only because you have a big family at this point.
Oh my gosh. Combining two families together is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do you, I guess, like, attend to each person?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, my family, we don't have a lot of babies. We don't have any babies at all. Like the youngest one is, like, 10 years old. I mean.
Right.
Like, and the rest are, like, grown-ass fucking children.
It does make a difference.
Adults.
As soon as you start having, like, other kids in the family, it's like, whoa, this is a lot.
Yeah.
I gotta make candy bags?
Oh my gosh, and this is my first time, and I'm like, what do I put in here?
Yeah.
I was like, what would I want in my candy bag?
Just throw a bunch of Mexican candy, you'll be good, girl.
That's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. Yeah. What about you? What have you been up to this past week?
Trying to get back into the routine after this, like, winter mix where the kids were out for such a long time, it felt like.
It really felt like a long time.
Yeah, it was like a whole week.
I feel like it was 2 weeks, honestly.
Including the weekends.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it was 10 days.
It was a long time.
So I'm like not counting, but counting. Just kidding. It was like hard to wake up in the mornings and kind of get back into the flow.
It was hard for me to wake up this morning.
Girl, I got to her house and she was still asleep.
She like opened the door. You're still asleep?
I was like, you better get up. Let's go.
I literally was like, what? Yeah.
And I mean, mornings are not for everyone.
No, they were not for me. But I'm getting into the habit of waking up early. It's been going really well.
I know. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, except for today. I don't know what happened. I think it's because I looked at my son and he was sleeping so peacefully, and I was like,
and it's been raining, so it's typically like a good snooze.
It is. I love those days. Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Getting into it, today we would like to discuss a certain topic from someone that has anonymously sent us their story.
Yeah, and this is like nowhere near kind of related to like the video that we posted a couple days ago. Because we did post a video just to try to like get different point of views, and we did. But then we also got like a total different subject, which is like, amazing that people are sending in feedback,
right,
and comments and criticism and letting us know exactly what they want to hear. Like, we're here for you.
Absolutely.
# let's be heard.
Yes.
So this person is anonymous, and we're gonna keep it that way. We don't want to
expose them.
Yeah,
they're not ready to be exposed, and they don't really want to be interviewed at this time. So we'll just kind of say their story a little bit, because they did give us permission to do that.
But this topic is very important, because I feel like it does affect everybody's lives. Even if we don't notice it, or we don't see it, or we don't acknowledge it, we don't realize it. The first step is realization.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So going back into those questions that we did ask, though.
Oh yeah.
Those 3 questions. I think that was more of like an interaction approach. We were trying to see if anybody would actually give us feedback.
And they did. They did.
So it was amazing. Thank you guys so much for that. So we want to kind of just surface those questions again.
Yeah.
So number 1.
Is it okay to have crushes?
Yes.
And our answers. This will be our answers, and then a little bit of what
we got.
Yeah, what we received.
Like a little poll, basically. So, is it okay to have crushes? I say, celebrity-wise, yes.
Yeah. I
mean,
do you have a celebrity crush?
I do. I think everybody does. I mean, if you watch TV,
who's
very
yours?
Often,
I want to know.
my type of celebrity crushes kind of like expose me.
Okay.
I like Jax Taylor from Sons of Anarchy. I think that was his last name, Jax.
Ooh.
Yeah. And a little bit of, Paul Walker is my number 1. Damn. Don't even mess with me.
R.I.P. I feel like Mac Miller is like my number 1.
You had a crush on him?
Oh yeah, I like literally like would tell everybody I would talk to, like, if he ever like came up in this room, I am ditching you. And I'm gonna go straight to him. I even tell your brother that. I'm like, if he was still alive, bye.
I mean,
Bye.
dead for real. Like I would. Yes, Mac Miller. It was the vibe that you got off of him.
Yeah.
If anything, just like me with Adam Sandler. Like I can
What?
definitely vibe with Adam Sandler. It's the characterism and the sense of like, I don't know. I know it's like how you just express yourself on that end, but to each their own. Okay.
Yeah. Who's
yours?
Yeah. Who mine?
Yeah. You said Mac Miller, but who else?
Honestly, Mac Miller. Oh, Frank
Mac
Ocean.
Miller.
Maybe Frank Ocean. I'm a fan of him.
Okay.
But like, if it would have to be like a movie star, I may get judgment on this, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's no one. It's literally no one. I don't have like.
You don't have a movie star?
No, I don't. I don't. Honestly, don't. No.
Really?
No.
Okay.
No. Like, not even like. No.
But you know what's funny at the same time? Like, I do have this approach on certain roles that I fall for that kind of have a similarity to my husband.
Wow.
Like, I do love Paul Walker, and the things that I love about Paul Walker was because of Fast and the Furious.
And the cars.
And the cars and the
Trino loves
adrenaline
cars.
rush and all of that. Like,
Yeah.
Trino was involved with his car, you know, whatever, phonetics. And at that time, it was like an adrenaline for me. Like, I did like it.
Maybe mine would be Pablo Escobar.
Stop!
I'm kidding.
No, she's not.
You know me, you know.
Okay, so that's crushes. Number 2 was strip clubs.
Yeah, would you go with your significant other, your spouse, your boyfriend, your date, or whatever? You have. Would you go again?
I have experienced strip clubs with my husband. It wasn't exactly what I expected from him.
Okay.
But I understand my approach where it was like he just didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't want to disrespect you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he would go alone. Like, you know what I mean? So it's almost like inevitable of kind of understanding the fact that. Exactly.
Bitch.
Anyway, back to strip clubs.
Yeah. I've been to a strip club with your brother, and it was like, it wasn't what I expected. Honestly, it was different. It was more so like, I was in the middle, and like the stripper was in front of me, and I was throwing the money, and then he was kind of like following my hands.
He was like throwing the money over you.
Yeah.
Like, go, Natalie.
But but you're doing it, so I'm doing it. But it was like, I tried to move, and he would like follow behind me, and I'm like, weird.
I know.
See, I've also gone to the strip club with a date that somebody I was talking to. Wasn't really serious. It was like a date wise, and it was pretty fun. But I felt like I am very, honesty right here, judgmental. So I will not throw money unless I find you attractive.
Yeah.
So I was literally sitting there, and he was like throwing money. I didn't care what he was doing. He was throwing money and like on everybody and anybody, and I was like, okay, cool. And like I was just sitting there, and I'm like, I'm waiting for my girl to come out and bring me out, and she did. And that's whenever I finally got up, and I got up by myself. He did not come up with me. It was funny because like the one girl I found attractive, he was kind of sitting down. I guess he let me have my moment.
Right.
And I went up there and I threw like all my ones and shit. I was like, yes, I love you. Hi. And it was pretty fun. It was really fun.
Awesome.
I enjoyed myself a lot.
That's actually also a reflection of my situation whenever I was like doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I see the psychological part of it. Oh, does she have daddy issues? Like in my head. Like I'm not saying it out loud, and I'm not judging anyone by any means.
That's just, like a deep analyzation right there.
That's my trait. Like I do try to rationalize that understanding that there's something deeper in depth that this person is probably feeling.
Yeah.
It's just what I do. But at the same time,
April
I didn't
101.
say it out loud. I didn't say it out loud, and I didn't say it to anybody else that was with me, because then that would have been a total kill.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But I think it's also funny, like, the feedback that we got with strip clubs, because there was, like, some feedback where it was like, yeah, it was fine. It was nothing. And then there was, like, this one comment we got, and it was like, I fought the stripper that was like all up on my man,
it.
kissing up on him, which is like, that's too far for me. Honestly, I would feel the same way if he was if she was kissing up on my man. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Right. If you see that they're with someone,
yeah,
but at the same time they're trying to enjoy themselves and be in that atmosphere almost.
I'm like,
because,
shake ass,
yes,
cool, don't touch,
don't ever
shake
touch.
ass, but you kissing up on him, bro? Yeah. And then there was some.
Yeah, and then there was some that were like, hold up, don't touch my husband, don't look at him, don't.
Back the fuck up.
Yes,
yeah,
and I loved that. Thank you for the raw information.
Yeah, because that's the truth.
Being for real. Yeah.
That's like where different point of views and all that come into play. And it's like, yeah.
Because I'm not going to lie. Like, I could also see myself as that type of person.
Damn, April.
Like, it didn't happen when I went.
That's
but
good.
If it would have happened,
you
would have been
been
like that too.
Yeah, because there's a limit.
Like, hold up, I walked in with him.
Yeah,
like let's know our limits.
Like, why can't you dance on me? Why can't you kiss up on me? Why you gonna kiss up on him? He's a dude, bro. Like, I'll pay you.
But then again, it goes back to that situation where you did go to the strip club. So what more are you actually even wanting? Yeah, strip clubs to me are not limited. So almost as if you're gonna enter this, don't limit yourself because they don't limit themselves.
Yeah, and now that I remember, I mean, I've gone to like the strip club with your brother, and I think it was kind of like the same experience as you, where he didn't want to be disrespectful, which I do love that. But I've also been to the strip club with like a couple of people I've dated, and like one of the experiences was like, it was fun. We did our own thing. We threw money on them. We enjoyed it. Yeah. And then there was like this other one where I was like dating this guy. Like, we kind of were barely talking. It wasn't really like anything like serious. Right. And like, I'm kind of like told the stripper, I think like the group I was with told him like, hey, put your tits in his fucking face. And she did. And it's like her tits were so big and he went all the way fucking in, and I was like, dude, you were suffocating in there. But it was such a fun moment. Like, it wasn't
because anything. He wasn't serious.
Yeah, it was just like, yes, like, enjoy yourself, have fun. Yeah.
It's I mean, that's a different approach.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, you weren't committed to him and he wasn't committed to you.
I didn't care. I think I even got on stage.
Look at her.
If I remember correctly, that was really a fun time. I really enjoyed that. That was great.
I've heard a lot of stories that say like they actually enjoyed themselves going. Yeah. So I mean, to each their own.
Yeah, I've been a couple times, and I think my favorite one was probably in Houston. Yeah, and that was with like somebody like I wasn't serious with, so it was like amazing.
Nice.
Fun.
Third question was single parenting, right?
Yeah. Like, what is the cause, you know, for single parenting? What do you think
is the cause of single parenting? That is actually something that we didn't get that many responses from. Yeah. We did get one, right? But it wasn't many, simply because it is a very touchy subject.
It is.
You don't want to be the one that's like implementing that certain situation.
Yeah, because it's like to each their own. But I mean, I guess like if we were to comment on that, it's a lot to do with like influences, insecurities. Like, if you're not happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy in a relationship, and that's going to completely change. Yeah. Especially like when you have children. As everything a mom, changes. Yeah, you don't see yourself the same. Right. And it's important for like the man, the husband, the father, kind of like to boost you. And sometimes that helps. But at the end of the day, if you don't follow that or like really listen to it or believe it, it's not going to help. It's just not.
Because we were supposed to actually be on topic of single parenting today, but unfortunately we'll be doing that until next week.
Yeah, we will have somebody come on. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have them on today, but next week we will maybe have them on. We'll see.
Yes.
We'll see.
So just going into that topic, because since we're already surfacing it, I did do some research, and there was a lot of, things that have been traded back to single parenting. Yeah. Which then leads to possibly the understanding of why people separate. So we'll just kind of resurface that topic for next week, so we don't kind of like, you know, mix too much up. If you guys have any questions or anything that you actually want to add into that podcast, please feel free to message us, DM us, email us, all of the above.
Yeah, because as we go into like the next subject, this is what somebody sent into us.
Right.
This is what somebody wanted us to talk about, and like, you know, we wanted to talk about also. So, I mean, whatever you have to say, just know we will not put you out there. We will keep you totally anonymous.
Right.
But I guess as we go into this one,
The anonymous sender. So she was wanting us to actually surface the topic of anxiety.
yes, and I mean, back to like when it starts, it's different for everybody. I mean, I feel like it does start like at a young age, depending on like childhood and what you've been through and all that. I mean, when do you really realize that? When do you really take into like accountability? What happens?
Accountability.
Yeah, what happens? Like, some people kind of brush off anxiety, depression as like, you're just being too much.
Right.
You're just
So
like, in your feelings. Get over it.
when did you realize that you had anxiety?
At a very young age. I was like maybe like in my early teens, and I think I had a lot of social anxiety, and I don't think you could really tell that I did. I think if you grew up with me, I'm a very good person at hiding it. But it's because I spend a lot of time preparing myself. I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna do this, I just like literally talk to myself over and over again. I'm like a big talker to myself in my head, and I'm like, do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, act like this, don't act like that, do this, don't do that, and I'm just like constantly telling myself like what to do. It got to the point where I was like, even in my early 20s, I couldn't go to a store. I would literally just sit in the car, and I would literally wait, and I'm like, okay, I have to do this. Okay, they're gonna know. Oh well, whatever. And then whoever I was with, I kind of leaned on them to do everything for me.
Right.
So I was like, okay, we're gonna go to the store. I'll wait in the car and you go do it. Oh, we're gonna go out to eat. I'm gonna wait in the car and you go get us the food.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've always been. Now I'm kind of getting out of that shell.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is. It's hard. I think I've kind of like self-diagnosed myself as like social anxiety, which is like crazy. And like there's times where like I'll tell like your brother, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't. And then like as I'm through it, I'm like, man, I don't know what I was thinking. You know, alcohol hit me. I'm like, I'm great. Yeah.
No, anxiety can be different for everyone for sure.
When did you realize that? Do you have anxiety?
I do have anxiety,
Okay.
but I did not actually realize it until I was an adult.
Wow.
I think it was after my second child, and it was after therapy. And that's when I finally realized that there was something different about me. And then whenever I found that out, it was as if I added everything up together. And that's when I also just contemplated on the fact that it actually started when I was a kid, and I could see anxiety as a child and then as a teenager and then going into adulthood. But unfortunately, I didn't get diagnosed until I was an adult, and I didn't take it seriously until then, which is fine at the same time as long as you acknowledge it at some point. It's also something that people make it seem like everyone has. So you have to almost kind of moderate it to your own personal experiences.
Yeah, I feel like I've self-diagnosed myself a lot. And until like my last counselor that I seen officially gave me my diagnosis, which was adjustment disorder.
Okay.
And it's mainly because I've never been in one place for more than a year. House-wise, state-wise, and all that. Like a lot of it plays into it. I've always moved different places, and I've never been able to fully like set myself somewhere
and be secured.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I'm still not in that place right now, actually. So until I get to that place, I mean, we'll see what happens, but there's so much that goes into it, and he kind of like explained it to me like into depth, and it made a whole bunch of sense. I was like, wow, I never realized that. I just thought like that was just me. But when I really look at like the bigger picture and what's my environment and what is surrounding me, I definitely see that. It makes sense. Yeah.
It all just makes sense at the end of the day whenever you get a breakdown of it.
Yeah.
And get the understanding of what it even is.
Yeah.
So the person that anonymously sent us this information on surfacing anxiety actually wanted to kind of share a little bit about themselves without being themselves. If that makes any sense.
The symptoms that we all have are completely different. I mean, like, it starts off, I think, like, what they had said was they had realized it kind of like in middle school. Whenever they were kind of like afraid to be alone, they weren't able to walk home and or anything like that because of like
or staying close to dad or mom, finding that security. Overthinking
in your head is very, like, it's real. You do overthink.
Well, that's how it starts. It's overthinking. You overthink until a certain extent. Where you get triggered.
And it's like once you replay something in your head over and over and over again, you kind of start to see it. So, like, I know they had mentioned that they see faces in the wall, which is crazy, but it's also very real. Like, whenever I'm alone in the dark, I feel like I kind of think, I know, like, a lot of people can probably relate to this. Whenever you're, like, going up the stairs and you shut off the light, you're going to run up those stairs because you feel like somebody's following you. But really, there's not. You're going to, like, you're going to, like, the restroom. You're going back into your room. You're going to want to run from the restroom to your room.
That sense of fear that's, like, right behind you.
And then it's, like, you're in your room. You're in your bed. You're alone. You're in the dark. And you just, like, imagine things. But it's in your head, and you're just playing it over. Like, do I see something? Do I see something? Until you officially make something be seen.
And that's where I can kind of relate to the aspect of, like, seeing almost like, let's say that there's a tile somewhere and I envision something out of that tile. It may not even be that there's something in that tile, but my mind is concepting it to being like a whole picture.
That's exactly.
It's like a picture of either someone, something, or just a set of fear. Like, it sounds crazy, but it's where it starts.
And maybe you can relate to this, and maybe you can't. But I know people out there do feel that way.
And everybody's different when it comes to anxiety. You have either heavy breathing. You have a sense of, like, I can't do this. Your hands get sweaty.
Or you shake your leg.
Yes, you can shake your leg.
God. That is, like, my biggest sign.
Over and over. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't even notice that I'm doing it sometimes either. But I remember being at my old job, I think, like, my 2 jobs ago. And I would always shake my leg. And my boss would call me out on it. Like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, I didn't even know that I was, but I guess I just am.
It was like a tick.
Yeah. She'd be like, stop doing that. Like, stop shaking your leg. Stop shaking your leg. And I'm like, I can't help it.
Do you realize that as well, that you're giving them anxiety by doing that?
Yeah. And
it's like anxiety fed onto another person.
It was kind of like her, like, being like, don't do that. And I'm like, I can't help it. Like, you know, maybe I just don't feel comfortable here. And I'm just like, there's a lot on my mind playing over and over again. And my body just releases it.
Right.
And I mean, I still do that to this day.
And so to our anonymous person, she says what she does is actually bite her cheek.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that because I do as well, but to a certain degree.
Yeah.
It's like I bite my cheek when I'm just, like, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. But to her extent, she explained that it gets to the bleeding part, where that then leads on to numbing something.
It's like anxiety. You don't realize how far you're going until you reach that point of, like, holy shit, I went this far.
And it's like, I don't want to feel this anymore. Let me block this so that I can do something else that's going to like either level it out or exceed what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And that can be pain. So then that leads over to self-harm. And if you guys do, like, just in between this, if you need assistance, if you need somebody to, you know, talk to, or just speak in regards to self-harm, that is a whole different topic that we are actually not going to surface today, and we are here for you as well if that helps you in any way.
If you can't afford a counselor, you don't want to go to a family member, there are hotlines.
Once again, we're not an experienced therapist, psychologist, or anything. So we're just people speaking from of other people's experiences.
Yeah, and maybe even some of our own.
Look, you know, the person that sent us this message, she mentioned that she doesn't know how to control her anger. She just rather shuts it off and goes to her room and just kind of silences.
And they mentioned that when you get so angry, you tend to cry.
Right.
And it just comes out differently, and you don't, like, it's like a kind of like a release, but it's not fully releasing.
Yes. What would you do?
I felt like, honestly, I tended to go to drugs. If I'm being real, if I'm being honest, whether it was like marijuana, pills, any type of like
numbness.
Yeah, I took that route because in a way I kind of grew up like not really expressing yourself, kind of just like keeping it in. And I mean, I saw that as normal. I never really cried in front of everybody. I never really like expressed myself like, hey, I'm feeling this type of way, what do I do? It was more so like I just kept it to myself always. And that's why I struggle so hard with like talking about my feelings, talking about in general what I like, how I want to express myself. And I'm learning, and like to this day I think I probably just want to be alone. I think I'm like okay with being alone
to a certain like level, or just
to be well enough of like, okay, this is how I felt, I'm over it, I probably will not talk about it, but I kind of just like let it go. I'm like, okay, bye, move on, next topic, we're gonna like just totally disregard the fact that like whatever happened. And I continue.
The only reason that I found out that I had anxiety was because I had to go back to work after being a stay-at-home mom for 5 years, and it was a full-time job. So it was a big transition.
Yeah, it is.
So
it really is.
Yes. And so when I went back to work, I was like, I can do this, you know? I'm tough. People do this. Women do this all the time, right? And if I can't do this, then I'm just a weak-ass biatch. Like, that's exactly what my mentality was then. So then I went back to work, and I was having stomach issues. Like, I was always going to the restroom. Every time I ate, it was like, gotta go to the restroom. So I went to the doctor, and I was like, I go to the restroom a lot. Like, what's going on? And then he goes, you're actually not here for stomach issues. You're here because you have anxiety. And that's when I was like, okay, this is real. And I actually got on medication, which not everybody wants to.
I personally have never been somebody that wants to be on medication. And I think that's why I've held back from like seeing people sometimes, because I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna diagnose me and they're gonna be like, you need to be on this. And I don't, mainly because of my habits. I don't want to be on any type of pill.
I was the exact same way. But at that point, I was like, I can't stop using the restroom, basically. Like, I need something that's going to help me.
Yeah.
And I was the type of person like you, for instance, where I was scared that I was going to get addicted to this drug because it is also addictive.
It is. It changes you. And when you get off of it, you like kind of fluctuate and you're not able to control your emotions. And I've heard that from so many people that have told me that they've been on it.
Right.
They go kind of crazy. Kind of like, they kind of lose it for a second.
Which I think it's different for everyone. Once again, it can be different for everyone. On my aspect of like taking that medication.
Take a shot because she said aspect. I'm just kidding.
I know, guys. I really like that word. Okay, go on. I took the medication. And it turned me into a zombie.
Yeah. I've heard that from other people too. I've seen that in other people as well too.
And in the explanation of zombie, it was as if I didn't have any emotion.
You're just there, living life, passing by, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. just
right.
Boom. Yeah.
And it's just like this. Like, I don't laugh. I don't think anything is cool. I don't think anything is fun. Like, I got to a point where I was like, I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
But then they do say that the doctor can actually recommend you a different medication.
Well, there's like so many medications that you're taking.
Yeah, and I've had a friend that has taken maybe like 3 different kinds.
Wow.
And at that point, I mean, it really just depends on how severe you are.
Yeah.
So I decided to drift away from it. That was my decision. I don't recommend that for you guys. It really just depends on what your doctor is advising. I drifted away from it simply because I wanted emotion. I wanted to feel something.
Yeah.
It was like, I was tired of feeling like a zombie. And then in that case, it was just trying to make it on my own with anxiety.
Yeah. I feel like, I hate that.
Take a shot for every time she says she feels like.
I guess from my experience in different times in my life, when it came to me like expressing myself a certain way, it kind of took a toll on me, where it was like I was pretty much blamed for the reason why they were reacting that way. It's like, well, you did this, I'm gonna do this. And then it's like I reacted to it, and it was like, this is your fault. This is completely your fault. And I'm like, I don't know.
What's your fault?
I guess their reaction to how I feel, to how I express myself.
Oh.
So it was like I would do something, say something, and then that person would kind of like take it negatively and take it into their own hands, literally their own hands, and react some way and then blame it on me that they did that because it was my fault. And it came to a point where I was like, okay, well, I literally thought to myself, like, this is my fault. I should really change the way I do this. And then I would change, but then the reaction would still be the same.
So are you saying that someone like manipulated you using your anxiety against you?
My anxiety, and then I do have anger issues. I do. So I will say something probably slick, probably stupid, probably out of line. But then they would take it to like another level. It was like, I'm not going to allow myself to be talking to that way. And then this could be like a whole different discussion that we get into. But I was in an abusive marriage. And I mean, it's kind of weird to say, and I mean, it's very real, but
this is where her laugh comes in with the awkwardness.
Yeah.
I saw you wanting to laugh just now, like, but no, I'm glad that you're sharing that, because there's been a lot of people that have experienced that.
Yeah, and it causes a lot of anxiety in you, to the point where you're literally questioning everything that you do. It's like, if I say this, I'm gonna get this reaction, but if I say this, I'm gonna get this reaction. So it's like, I just don't say anything.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I became so quiet to myself, where I'm like, I'm just gonna like sit here and just observe it and just acknowledge everything and just keep to my own, you know, and just not say anything.
But that's why, like, I've also been so patient with Natalie being quiet.
Yeah.
Like, I do talk a lot, and I can take things over with my voice.
She has a lot of stories.
Yes, simply with just like so much to say. But I've been trying to be as patient as possible with you, because this isn't just my own growth. This is her growth as well.
And I really came out of my shell.
Yes.
Within like maybe like the past year, because being pregnant kind of pushed me back into it.
Right.
And it didn't have to do with anybody else. It was just like me being sick and like being in a hospital and just confining to myself. Because there'd be times where I literally would not be on my phone for days. It was so weird. And I kind of got used to it. I was like, I was so out of it. Literally could not open an eye, lift a finger. Like, I couldn't do anything.
Open a finger.
Yeah. I couldn't do anything. And then finally, maybe like after day 3, day 4, I'm like getting back into life in a way, which is so weird to say. But I would get back into life. I'm like, okay, I would like check my phone. I'm like, damn, all this is happening. And I would not care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just the world is passing me by. Life is happening. And then I would get out of the hospital for maybe like a week or 2. And I'm like, okay, like getting back into it. And then I would go right back into that same hole.
Yeah.
And I was just like quiet to myself. I didn't really express how I felt, what I was going through mentally, because it really did take a toll on me.
I noticed.
Yeah. I didn't talk to anybody for like 7 months.
Yeah.
And then when I did, like, I kind of like gave them little snippets of it, but I didn't really go into depth.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable.
It was.
To like be in a situation where you know that you're going into a deep hole of mental health, and you don't want to tell anyone, because at the same time it's like, can't you just tell? Yeah. And at that time I was telling my brother, like, keep an eye on Natalie, but then again, we didn't have a relationship then for me to be able to approach you in that manner, and I didn't want to offend you. But it was something that honestly, it would happen to anyone. Yeah. Like, you would have some type of mental breakdown in the situation that you had with your pregnancy.
And I think I kind of did. Like, after I gave birth, after leaving the NICU, it was like all these emotions were hitting me, and I did not understand them. Right. I did not, because it was like I was feeling so much.
It was tons of them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's like hormone imbalance after having a baby, and just...
And there's an incident where I think I cried. And then I kind of like stopped myself mid-crying. And I'm like, what are you doing? What is going on here? it's not that serious, but it was. I was like, it's not that serious. And then like I have like these people just like talking, like where they kind of just like took over everything. And I'm like, I literally just like went into my shell and I'm like, just don't say anything. Just don't say anything. And someone like was like saying like, just talk to them, just talk to her, just talk to this. And I'm like, I can't. Right. What do you want me to say? There's nothing to say.
And then leading into that situation, how you're mentioning that you were just kind of keeping it all in because you weren't able to have an escape.
Yeah.
Our anonymous person had mentioned that they have night terrors.
Yeah.
So at some point, if you're constantly blocking it out and constantly not making it a thing, you end up sleeping at night and just thinking.
It's like normalize being emotional.
Yes.
Normalize it.
Because she did mention that she had a lot of night terrors, which I did experience as well.
I have to. I feel like a lot of people have. They just don't talk about it. Yeah.
Like there was times where I would lay there and I got so good to the fact that I would try to wake myself up before I was going to fall into that deep sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
And it was like, why am I so good at this? But because it was happening so much. And I was looking at things like how she had mentioned that she would envision things like, even if it's not real, your mind is telling you it's real. And she was mentioning that she would see clowns. So in my perspective, I'm taking maybe she was afraid of clowns because for me, it was a dark shadow of a man. So every time I would open my eyes in the middle of like a night's sleep, it was like this dark shadow was sitting at the edge, standing at the edge of my bed.
Yeah.
And here I was trying to fight, like trying to wake up, like, oh, he's going to get me type of thing. But in reality, like if I would have maybe spoken to someone, maybe I wouldn't have all of that sense of pressure on me.
Yeah.
And it would have been like a little bit of an escape.
Because it's stress. It's stress. It's fear. It's overthinking. We, as a person, put on a lot of pressure on ourselves. We feel other people's emotions and we kind of take them into our own and we kind of bottle them in as well. So it's not just our emotions. It's who we're around.
Right. It's what you take from the people that you're around as well. Yeah. And a lot of the time it's like if your parents are not showing you exactly what you need and want at the moment being, you're gonna do the exact same thing.
It's like hard to blame a parent, but at the same time we do follow them. We do take
there are instructors to this world of life, which we have to kind of rationalize at the same time that they did what they knew how to, what they've learned as well. So that's when we have to come in and break the cycle.
Generational trauma.
Faux show.
Yeah, I think maybe if we all just like accepted whatever we felt at that moment, it'd be completely different. But we don't.
No.
And it takes a while. I'm like, what? I'm like halfway through my life, over halfway through my life. And I've just now realized how much I've been affected by what I've been through.
Right.
And I've kind of just like always brushed it off. Because I kind of grew up with that too. Like I feel like not a lot of people are like, oh yeah, this is this disorder. This is this disorder. This is that disorder, so and so. And then like make you really kind of like take it in and realize what you have. I feel like I've kind of always been told like, just don't feel that way. Just don't think about that. Just turn the other cheek. Just
it's like, oh,
change your way of thinking.
Drink a tea before you go to bed so you don't sleep with night terrors. Or do a self-improvement, as in like changing your appetite and your diet, which is a big thing.
Yeah, it is.
But at the same time, you have to let it out somehow. Yeah. And it could be even writing in a journal.
Yeah. Did you used to write in a journal?
Yeah, I remember I mentioned I was like that teenager that was like, I had like 50 journals, 50 diaries. I really do like to write down my emotions.
Oh yeah.
I like to make it seem as if it's almost a story. So the person that actually messaged us says that she writes it out,
like speaking to yourself,
but speaking to herself.
Yeah, so people speak to themselves, but when they're writing, they're like, you did this, you experienced this happened to you. what are you going to do about it? This is how you
Right.
feel about it. Yeah.
And the way that I feel about that is like, I don't like to write to myself. I used to, like when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I would write to myself that way. But as an adult, I can see the difference where maybe it's best you don't write to yourself, but more about yourself.
Yeah.
Or to an extent where you're giving yourself this self of awareness. Because if you're constantly like, you suck, you did this, you don't know how to handle
You're
this,
fat.
and then you go back and you reread it, you're feeling it again.
Yeah, you really do.
So, I mean, it's just my opinion again. Write something that's going to be good.
Positivity right there. Yeah, I've written many different ways. I used to write to myself.
Right.
I used to write, this was for evidence, timestamps, dates, and what exactly happened to me. Just like for evidence, like more so like if.
But that was more of your domestic violence.
Yeah.
This
This is what happened. You know, this is what took place. This is what happened afterwards, and this is how I felt. And then I used to have like a little. I don't know if people still use WordPress. I think that's what it was.
Like you're typing it all out.
Yeah, and I used to write poems. I'm a very poem person. I love
cool.
Is it poems or poems? Poems. Poems. And I was very good at that to the point where I kind of released some poems out there. Don't ever try to look for me. I think I have it private and I hope I do.
You did?
Yeah, I did. And it's still up to this day, I think.
So you've like looked into it again?
I don't know. It's been like a couple years since I've written into it, but I went like all in, like writing poems about like my life.
Wow.
How I viewed things, how I felt for certain people, friendships and all that. I kind of shared some with like people who I was very, very close with, but it had to be like very close to you for me to share that with.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like rare. But like if you look into my journals, you would see poems, like little like phrases, like little stanzas, blah 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 this, blah 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 that. Yeah.
That's
like,
pretty.
Yeah.
But was it good?
I
or
thought
were you,
it
like,
was.
negative?
No, I was pretty positive. It was more so like I was questioning everything, and then I would like have like a good outlook on it. Like I think I'll probably show you one because I think we're at that level.
Look at that.
We're at that level, and I will show you one. I showed your brother a couple. I don't think he understood.
No,
I don't think he really understood what it was or anything like that. Which is, it's all right. It didn't really bother me. It was just like I'm just sharing a little something.
I mean, recently I did write to myself again.
Yeah.
In a situation that I was like, I don't want to call this person. I don't want to make them feel worse than maybe what I've already made them feel.
Okay.
So I was in the idea of like, let me write it out to them so that they can get an idea of how I'm feeling.
I like that.
I know. And it was the first time
Yeah.
that I had actually done that since I was a teenager. So then that's whenever the anonymous person told us that they write themselves that, you know,
yeah.
in the perspective of them feeling the emotions that they're feeling at the moment.
Yeah.
So as an adult, like the only thing I could really say was like, do it to give yourself something out of it.
Yeah.
I wish that I could read all my diaries from when I was a teenager. I think it would have been really sad.
April.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, you're writing out your anger, right?
Yeah.
And so now as an adult, when I reread the letter that I wrote, I was actually like, wow. Like I didn't see it as if I was like trying to belittle someone. I didn't see it as if I was trying to pity myself. I saw it more of like, recognize it. Recognize that this happened to you. Take it, listen, and not let it go.
Yeah. Do you feel like you can I can take a shot. Do you see anxiety as some sort of form of like not letting something go, building something up, and maybe that's when like forgiveness kind of comes into it?
Absolutely.
Like, because
but it's not just that, because I have had so much anxiety that I feel like my child, my oldest, I feel that at that time when I was surfacing anxiety, I was feeding it onto him.
They can feel that. The energy is real.
Because like you mentioned, when you would go to the store, you were like, yeah, go for me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
That was me. I would like literally, we would be at the grocery store. We'd be in the car. And I would have to take deep breaths, and Trina would look at me like, are you okay? Yeah. And I wouldn't say anything. I'd just be like, like, I'm fine. I'm fine. And he's like, well, what's wrong? I was like, there's a lot of people in there. Yeah. And I would just like kind of go like this with my, with my knees. Yeah. And I'd be like, there's a lot of people in there. And he's like, okay. Like, there's always a lot of people in there. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then like I would get out and I would just like face it. Yeah. But deep inside, I was like crying.
Like stressing out. Yes. Like, oh my God. They're looking at me, but really they're not.
It wasn't even them looking at me. It was just like the sense of like, my children may be crying. What if my kid throws a tantrum?
Mine was like, I just didn't want people looking at me. I did not want to be acknowledged. And I really wasn't. It was more so like, I just didn't want people to like notice me. I didn't want them to like look me up and down. I didn't want to be around them. I didn't want to look at them. And then it's like, sometimes like people conversate and it's like, I don't want to. I don't want to talk to anybody. And then like I'm preparing myself, and then after I would conversate with them, I'd be like,
I sense a relief.
That was a lot. And really it was just like, hi, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. And that was it. And it was just like, that was just,
or like in the back of your head, you're like, please don't keep going.
Yeah.
Don't keep going.
Yeah. Like just end it right here. Like, stop. Like, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think you have used so far to cope with it?
Now, I want to say it's your brother that's really helped me out of that shell. Because, I mean, like, before past relations and all that, I never really talked to them. And your brother now is someone who's like, I want to talk about it now. Let's talk about it now. Why do you feel this way? And I still will shut him out. I won't give myself 100% to him. And he's kind of helped me realize that you do need to. And me and my mom have a different relationship now. Where before I saw her as like a friend, like a best friend, someone who was like, oh, I'm gonna go out and do this. Okay, I'm gonna go out and do this. And we just kept it that way. I kind of kept her secret. She kind of kept mine. But now it's like, I think I'm able to kind of like tell her a little bit more what it is and like talk to her about it. Because before, like my past marriage, he would call her first and like tell her like a whole different story.
You're a psycho.
Yeah. And then like finally like I would go to her and she'd be like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, but you didn't even talk to me, Mom. Like how
are you taking the perspective off of someone else?
Yeah. Like you didn't get the full story. Like no one's gonna make themselves look bad. But I would give it to her raw. And then it got to the point where it's like, I just don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to put my mom into that situation or like let her know what's going on in my life or anything like that. And now I kind of give her my all. I do.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, at some point we do have to accept our parents are who they are. And if they're ready for us, then we're ready for them. Yeah. For me, I've had to basically like set boundaries.
With who? Yourself?
With people.
Okay.
That give me anxiety.
Damn. Who gives you? Do you want to say who gives you anxiety?
No.
I just know that's on me.
No.
You haven't told me anything, so I'm like, it ain't me. Who is it?
And I've had to kind of limit myself. Like I can give you 30 minutes, but I can't give you more.
That's important.
If I give you more than that, you're going to mess with my own mental health state. If that makes sense.
That's really important for you to realize that. Because if you don't do that, you do lose a piece of yourself.
So for you, is building the relationship.
Yeah.
With your mother.
I've always been closed off.
I've given people everything until I realized I shouldn't have.
Oh, wow. The only person I probably given 100% to, maybe 150.
Damn, it's a lot.
Was my best friend.
Oh.
Yeah, but I think we've she's given it to me. I've given it to her. We know everything about each other. There's no secrets between us. And I love that. And I think to this day, I don't think I've ever felt that I've given her too much, because she gives me like
the
truth.
Same.
Yeah, no, she gives me the truth. She's like, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And like, she'll be blunt and honest and be like, Natalie, you're a bitch for that. Right. Don't do that. Don't think that way and stuff like that. And I'm like, you're right. Yeah. Thank you for that. I needed that.
It makes sense.
Yeah. And I'll give it to her too.
Is supposed to be like.
Yeah. And I think that's like really like the only friendship I really had like that. I have like a couple of other friends who like I adore. I love them. But I feel like I've only kept consistent friends in my life. Not the ones that you check in on every day, but like every other once in a while. Like, I'm still here for you.
Right.
Like, yeah, I got you. You got me, I got you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because you do have to have that group of friends that actually understand you.
Yeah.
In a way of like a different approach, to be honest.
I don't like judgment. I don't judge. Don't judge me. Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. That's what I want. I can't stand lies, fakeness. Like,
why am I feeling so much heat? Because I am the same way.
I hope you're able to relate to this to a certain extent, and if you don't, I hope you have your own version of it.
Absolutely.
Seriously, we're all different. I like that. Yay.
Yes. And once again, we are just being honest.
Yeah.
Off of our own situations. And the person that was anonymous and shared this information with us, I think that was like
very big. It took a lot for them to do that, and of course they're doing it anonymously.
It's how you take it. Just know that don't hold it in.
No.
Don't hold it in, because it doesn't make anything better.
You will explode.
Yes.
Implode or explode, whichever one. It's not good.
And like I mentioned, I didn't realize that I had anxiety until an adult, so therefore I had to then go back and reconnect myself with where it started.
I feel like nowadays people kind of like overuse anxiety, overuse depression, because our emotions fluctuate. It's never gonna, you're never gonna be happy 100%.
Or
that's
like,
just not real.
That gives me anxiety. I can't do that.
Like,
which is just like a scenario, but
like, you just don't like that. You just don't. Yeah. And it's like with an older generation, they kind of disregarded it. With like ADD and like ADHD, they did not believe in that. It was more so like, you're just being a crazy child. Calm the fuck down. Stay put. Why can't you stay put? They don't really look deep into it. And now it's like, oh, I have OCD on this, and it's just because you like your picture a certain way, and it's like, no, that's not.
So anxiety can be as simple as like not wanting to get down at the grocery store. It could be as simple
like a tick, a symptom, like shaking.
Yes. If you see someone at the gas station or at Walmart or something, for instance, if this has ever happened in your situation, or maybe even like just in life, you saw someone yelling at someone else, has your stomach or like your chest caved in?
Yeah.
You don't even know them, but you're seeing the altercation.
Yeah.
That's anxiety.
I've also been that person where I have gone out of my way to ask for help and literally got told no to my face. Yeah. It was weird. It was like, I felt dumb.
Right.
I felt like, damn, I really have nobody. But I think it's because I literally asked the wrong person though.
No, yes, implement that, because at the end of the day, if that person didn't want to help you, then fuck you, go to the next one.
Yeah, there's another one. But at that moment, I didn't register to
that. Was you vulnerable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Literally.
That sucks.
That was like a whole different, like a whole different
It's
story.
a whole different scenario.
Yeah. But I literally ran out, asked for help, asked to use someone's phone, and they straight up told me no. And I was like, damn. I was like,
but that was you like actually wanting it, because there's women that
don't. Yeah.
And then it's like, no, what?
Yeah.
But I'm sorry.
It happened. I'm in a better place. That's all that matters to me. It's like, I think that's why I'm able to talk about it. I can't fully talk about it, but like I'm trying to, because I know there's people out there who are still in that situation and they cannot get out. And it's like, once I finally left, I was like, damn, I felt invincible. I was like, damn, I did this. I left. I kind of put myself back, but I felt stronger and like better than ever. Because I was somebody who like saw it, I think honestly my entire life.
In different scenarios.
Yeah. Different people.
Right. And I saw it from just my mother and my father.
Which is still traumatizing enough.
Which is, because it led on till I was a teenager. But
for someone who's seen it my entire life, I still put myself into that fucking situation.
Right.
And that was like something I think I was angry at myself. I could not forgive myself. And then I think that's also another reason why I stayed in my little cocoon, because I was embarrassed.
And that's the majority of it.
I never talked to anybody about this, but hopefully you're able to talk to us or talk to anybody who's around you. Friend, family, counselor, hotline. your journal, the wall, the sky, whoever you're able to talk to, just like release it, because it's real. And I mean, here we are as adults.
And they say it takes 10 times, but let's break that. I think most of the time whenever people say it'll take them 10 times till they can, get out of it. Who made that up?
I'm gonna look it up right now.
I mean, I think most of the time whenever we believe something, it's because we've heard it.
Yeah.
Over and over. If we said it takes 3 times, maybe it would fucking take 3 times.
Because look up the definition of insanity.
Yikes.
Do you know what it is?
No, I just I'm seeing psychopath. I'm seeing psycho.
No, it's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Yeah, that's insanity.
That's juice.
Yeah.
So to cope with anxiety, everybody does it differently.
Yeah.
Therefore, please find your way on how to cope with it. Nowadays, we're in an era where everyone has it, or they assume that they have it.
And I think that's realization. That it's like we all feel a certain type of way about a lot of things.
Well, we're a part of society where anxiety is inevitable.
Yeah.
When it comes to juggling things like being a mom, working a full-time job, having a household to take care of.
Even going to school and having to still take care of your family at a young age, and then getting a job at that time too. That's a lot. That's something a lot of people go through.
And then it can be something that carries on.
Yeah.
Our mothers may have had it, or our fathers may have had it, that then lingered onto us, realizing I'm anxious a lot, but yet why am I anxious? It's those type of scenarios.
Yeah.
So find your way on how to cope with it. Natalie copes with it by speaking to her mom, like she mentioned.
Yeah.
I cope with it by limiting, different scenarios.
Setting boundaries.
That give me anxiety.
Yeah.
Yes, setting boundaries with either people, places. Most of the time, it's a part of happiness as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't reflect on it too hard, because it could lead into depression.
Happiness isn't everything. It doesn't last, as harsh as that sounds, but it's the truth. But it's a moment. It's a feeling. Everything's a feeling. It's constantly changing.
I feel that most of the time, anxiety can lead into depression.
Yeah.
So,
like highs and lows.
Exactly.
Constantly going up and down.
Try to acknowledge it. Acknowledge what is giving you anxiety. And look at it straight in the fucking eye.
Boom, I got you.
At the end of the day, it's fear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we all have fear set in us. As long as you see that fear is actually dominant, you will be dominated. Fear is actually something that's just made up in our minds.
Yeah.
It's because you're telling yourself there's a kukui behind you.
Oh my God. I still do that to this day.
I do too.
I really do.
I'm not gonna lie.
That's
I get out of the restroom and I'm like,
I turn on my flashlight and I'm like, I got you. No, I always think negatively. I feel like somebody's always gonna break in.
Or sometimes I'll walk around and be like, I ain't scared of you. What?
Oh
what?
my God.
And it's like nobody.
There's times where I'm like, just kill me now.
That's deep.
Like, just take me into the light, please. Anyways, thank you for being a part of this episode.
Thank you. We have come to the end.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you listening in. This was a little bit touchy again.
Yeah. They will be. They're all going to be.
They're all going to be pretty touchy.
Yeah.
I'm sensing.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of approaches on this mental health perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe the new season would be something different.
Ooh.
But we really appreciate your support. We appreciate you guys listening.
I love you. I love you.
We love you.
Yes. Like, subscribe, share as much as you can. If we made you laugh, we made you cry, we made you mad.
Yeah.
Let anybody else know.
There wasn't a lot of tee-hee-hee-hee in this one.
I wish there, yeah. I mean, fuck it.
We kind of just winged it. We have a long weekend ahead of us.
Oh, my God.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, yes. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Thaddeus.
Yeah. Okay.
And we hope you guys have a great week. We can't wait to start the next episode, which we don't want to say that it's going to be something just in case it doesn't work out. But
be ready for the unexpected.
Perhaps.
Yep.
Perfect. So enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much.
And bless up.